Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Daily for a big Monday news day, May 19th, 2025, the 139th day of the year, the third of 4 Mondays this month, and National Devil's Food Cake Day. That would make your Monday a little bit better, right? Parts of the Midwest remain under a severe weather threat today after deadly storms and tornadoes wiped out homes and businesses, leading to more than 20 deaths in St. Louis and Kentucky over the weekend. If you're in that part of the country, definitely heads up today. Be safe. In New York, the Brooklyn Bridge has reopened, and the NTSB is now on scene investigating that Mexican sailboat that hit the 141-year-old bridge over the weekend. 2 people on the ship were killed, but that could have been a major disaster. And how great was it to see some of your Washington representatives working on Sunday? The House Budget Committee advanced President Trump's big, beautiful bill, but it still has a long way to go to become reality. After passing by 1 vote, Democrats are, of course, united against it, and 5 Republicans, including South Carolina Congressman Ralph Norman, voted present.
We've been downgraded 3 times. We have problems with the money in this country, the debt.
Congressman Norman and the others want more spending cuts to pay for the tax cuts that are in the bill. Meanwhile, House Speaker Mike Johnson and most Republicans, like Representative Lloyd Smucker of Pennsylvania, are confident that the bill will pass the full House vote by the end of the week.
This is a bill that will deliver the mandate that the American people have given the president and given Congress in November.
And today, President Trump is expected to have a phone conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin about a ceasefire in Ukraine and ending the war. U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matthew Whitaker spoke about it on Newsmax.
Trump says that he'll be speaking to Putin and Zelensky on Monday. How do you see this playing out? Will Trump be able to broker a peace deal here?
Yeah, I think President Trump has really brought this closer to a ceasefire and a enduring peace than anybody had for the 3+ years of the war. I mean, this is bold diplomacy by President Trump. Is it happening as quickly or as suddenly as we all had hoped and as President Trump has been pushing it? Absolutely not. But, you know, we had a meeting in Istanbul, Turkey, last Thursday. Agreement on prisoner exchange was agreed to. And again, we'll just kind of keep taking the victories. But, you know, this is what Donald Trump has done that nobody else could do. He brought both sides together. He's going to continue to press this. But, you know, he has also made sure that the United States is not involved in some other intractable foreign conflict that, you know, takes our resources and our time and attention. And so, you know, I think Donald Trump is the perfect person to lead this to peace. And, you know, I hope that especially at this moment, both sides decide that the killing needs to end, that 5,000 people dying every single week is unsustainable, and that, you know, the modern world needs peace, and especially here in Europe, we need peace.
Absolutely, Ambassador. Speaking of Iran, though, I just want to touch on that real quickly here. President Trump says this week that he's close to this nuclear deal. How close? And what is Iran willing to give up?
Well, I mean, again, Iran can never have a nuclear war head or bomb. I mean, that is just too frightening to even comprehend what they would do with it. And so Donald Trump, again, you know, whether it's peace between India and Pakistan, whether it's this deal with Iran that we're very close to, or whether it's Ukraine and Russia, I mean, Donald Trump is changing the game as only he can, and it's to the benefit of the American people.
Do you think that Putin will, given what we've seen with the Middle East, President Trump is bringing together the Middle East. Do you think that that is a concern for Putin, and he might have to make this deal with President Trump, even though he might not want to?
Yeah, well, I mean, President Putin has a choice. He can either be a first world country and involved as nation states interact with each other, or he can continue to remain isolated and really uninvolved into the future of the globe. And I think, you know, President Putin desperately wants to be a world actor, and the only way he's going to do that is if he agrees to a peace deal and a ceasefire that endures in Ukraine.
That is Matthew Whitaker, the U.S. Ambassador to NATO, speaking from Belgium on Newsmax with host John Glasgow. This is what Special Envoy Steve Witkoff said about it on ABC's This Week yesterday.
We have to get to a ceasefire. That's the president's position, and we all agree with that position. And most importantly, we have to get to a final peace deal. And the president has a force of personality that is unmatched.
President Trump said he will speak with Ukrainian President Zelensky and various NATO allies after his call with Putin today. The other big headline you'll be hearing all about today is President Biden being diagnosed with aggressive prostate cancer. I certainly wish him well, but the mainstream media will go so overboard on this so they don't have to talk about the Robert Hur interview that was released back on Friday, exposing them even more, and so they don't have to give any credit to Donald Trump for anything. More from Lidia Curanaj on Sunday Agenda.
You know, Democrats across the country, they're outraged, they're angry, they're in disbelief that their plan to take down Trump backfired in spectacular fashion. Their anger palpable as they watch Trump win trade wars, make peace deals, free hostages, secure our country once and for all, lower inflation at the same time. But it's been an uphill battle. The House Budget Committee voted down President Trump's one big, beautiful bill aimed at putting more money in the pockets of working class Americans. Democrats, every single one of them, voted against it, along with 4 Republicans. You know, as the saying goes, Trump could cure cancer and they'd be outraged, right? This week, Trump signed an executive order lowering drug prices by 60%. They have 30 days to do it. And in some cases, I mean, we're going to see some substantial savings here. And Trump, as in his typical fashion, he told this story about a friend of his buying the so-called fat shot in London.
The president, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London. And I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working. He said, I just paid $88. And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on? He said, so I checked. And it's the same box, made in the same plant, by the same company.
I mean, what Trump is doing is incredible, right? Finally, we have a president who is doing what we have been begging our leaders to do, lower drug prices. Yet, take a look at how the media has been covering, the regime media. Look at Axios. Pharma is facing its nightmare scenario. I mean, that's just one of many similar headlines where big pharma is now the big victim here. So what now? We should feel sorry for pharmaceutical companies, their bottom line shrinking? I mean, do you see how the media manipulates, right? They're clearly controlled by Democrat activists designed to confuse and lie to the public. And when libs don't get what they want, they do what they do best, right? They resort to violence, like petulant children throwing a tantrum. James Comey posting this to his Instagram account. Seashells forming, the number is 8647. This is the former head of the FBI actually calling for the elimination of the President of the United States. Comey now claims that he didn't know what it meant. President Trump responded to Comey's post in an interview saying a child knows what that meant. If you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination. And it says it loud and clear. The FBI is now investigating Comey's post, which has since been taken down. But as we know, the internet is forever. Associate Deputy Attorney General Ed Martin believes that Comey could fall into a perjury trap and even end up behind bars.
He took it down so fast, he knows he made a mistake. But excuse me, I don't think this statute is one that you sort of take back. It's pretty clear. You post it, you do it. That may mitigate his jail sentence or something like that. But I think he's got a problem. And as you point out, perjury traps are next because he's got to either lie or tell the truth. And when he chooses that, he's either going to jail on one or he's going to jail on the other. So I don't know. Is he a drinker? Was someone impaired? Because this was a colossal misjudgment by somebody who should have known better.
Of course. I mean, Comey knew exactly what he was doing, but he's trying to be cute about it. But could you imagine the outrage if a Republican posted to 86, a prominent Democrat? CNN, MSNBC would be talking about it nonstop and reinforcing that fake news narrative, right? That Republicans, that they're the party of violence, the conservatives, the threat to democracy. Meantime, it's Trump who is trying to bring about peace in the world every single day. The left-wing media refusing to even credit him for the release of the last American-Israeli hostage, Edon Alexander. Look at that beautiful moment, that mother, thank God, embracing her child, gone for almost 2 years in the hands of killers, right? Yet the media ignores the fact that Joe Biden left Americans to rot in Hamas captivity because he didn't care, or perhaps Joe Biden didn't have the capacity to care. A snippet of audio newly released from Special Counsel Robert Hur's interview with then President Joe Biden, now showing just how confused and mentally incapacitated Joe Biden was. Take a listen to Biden's response when asked about where he placed some special documents.
Where did you keep papers that related to those things that you were actively working on?
Well, I don't know. This is what, 2017, 18, that area?
Yes, sir.
Remember, in this time frame, my son is either been deployed or is dying.
Beau Biden, Joe's eldest son, he died in 2015, not in 2017 or 2018 like Joe Biden just said. How do you forget the year your son died?
Newsmax's Lidia Curanaj leaving no stone unturned on Sunday agenda. And I'll get to more on Comey in a little bit. But like I said, today is going to be all about Biden's cancer diagnosis and nothing about the incredibly damning Hur interview. Even though we had already seen the transcripts, right? If you remember, transcripts of the interview were released last year by the Judiciary Committee as part of the classified documents investigation into Biden. And then you remember he made a statement from the White House. He was all angry about them asking about his son's death in the interview, when he was the one who actually brought it up, but then couldn't remember that Beau Biden passed away in 2015. One person who is definitely not going to let the Hur interview go under the radar is Greg Kelly.
He doesn't know what's going on. The real crime here is that his aides let him, 2023, run for re-election in this condition. This is the first thing you do. The campaign is over. But they lied to everybody, and they thought they could pull this off. How? Campaign aides, and Joe, of course, himself. So you heard that whole thing.
There's even reference.
They're trying to help him. They're trying to help him. He can't figure out. They're saying, I think it was 2015. It was 2015, sir. Watch what Joe Biden did. This report becomes public. It said he willfully retained classified documents in violation of the law. They're not prosecuting because, look, the guy has a bad memory and will come off very sympathetically, potentially to a jury. Watch this vicious, mean, degenerate react.
There's even reference that I don't remember when my son died. How in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it wasn't any of their damn business. Let me tell you something. Some of you have commented, I wear since the day he died, every single day, the rosary he got from Our Lady of. Every Memorial Day we hold a service remembering him, attended by friends and family and the people who loved him. I don't need anyone to remind me when he passed away or passed away.
You're a damn liar, man. Just like you told that guy in Iowa, you're the damn liar. He brought it up. He brought Beau up. And we know that about him, right? Whenever he's in a jam. Beau, honorable, great guy. I'm sorry he's gone. But he has exploited that. And he's lying about it right there. They were trying to help him. He brought it up out of thin air. Wow. And what they did to Robert Hur, he was just reporting the facts. This is relevant. I'm sorry. Jake Tapper, CNN, MSNBC, they could pretend that Joe Biden is not disintegrating before their eyes. But Robert Hur will not do that. Look at what they tried to do to him.
You don't gratuitously add language that you know will be useful in a political campaign. You were not born yesterday. You understood exactly what you were doing. It was a choice. You certainly didn't have to include that language.
What I saw of that report last night, I believe is, as a former prosecutor, the comments that were made by that prosecutor, gratuitous, inaccurate, and inappropriate.
Not at all inaccurate. Not at all inaccurate. And absolutely relevant. You guys were willing to cover it up. He wasn't. Wow. What a patriot. Robert Hur. These people, they are losing everything. Everything right now. All of the people who ever worked for Joe Biden at that White House, they can never, ever, ever hold public office again, hold any kind of respect, really, with the public, any position of authority. All right.
Greg Kelly, host of Greg Kelly Reports, 9 p.m. Eastern on Newsmax. Be sure to check it out tonight. And going back to James Comey, the Secret Service on Friday did interview the former FBI director about last week's controversial 8647 post. This is Rob Finnerty from Friday night's edition of Finnerty.
Joining us now for more on this, Special Assistant to the President and White House Director for Counterterrorism, Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Great to see you, Dr. Gorka. I just want to know what your reaction was when you first saw this post.
Well, you can read it, Rob, on my Twitter feed at Seb Gorka. I informed Comey, who strangely has me blocked on X. I don't know why the former FBI director, disgraced FBI director, has me blocked. Maybe he's afraid of me on X. I told him we are doing counterterrorism in the National Security Council of President Trump's White House. I am the senior director for counterterrorism for the U.S. government. And Title 18, Section 897 of the U.S. Criminal Code means that you committed a crime. Threatening the life of an incumbent president is a crime. And nobody on this planet believes you, James Comey, that you didn't know that to 86 someone is to kill them. You're a liar, and you incited violence against a man who they have tried to assassinate on multiple occasions. Who is the they? Democrats, donors to the Democrat Party, people who think that political violence is justified. And I'm very glad that my friend Kash Patel and the Secret Service under Sean Curran are looking into this crime that was committed by the disgraced former director of the FBI.
Do you have a feel for what happens next here?
Well, I know what should happen next. James Comey, the disgraced former director of the FBI, will be interviewed by federal agents and asked about his attempt to incite violence against the duly elected president of the United States, who has the mandate of 77 million Americans, and asking, why did he do that? Is he working in concert with somebody else? Does he know about imminent threats against the chief executive? So we do counterterrorism. We take lethal threats very, very seriously. So James Comey can expect a knock on the door from federal agents asking him about his threat against the life of President Trump.
Sebastian Gorka, Special Assistant to the President and White House Director of Counterterrorism on Finnerty. After all of the events that took place this weekend, President Trump's phone calls today with Putin, Zelensky, and members of NATO. There's also a law enforcement event happening at the White House again today, and President Trump is participating in a dinner event for the Kennedy Center Board of Directors. So you won't want to miss Finnerty tonight, or Rob Schmidt tonight, or Greg Kelly Reports at 9. Newsmax aired a new documentary last night. I don't know if you caught it. Guilt by Accusation. On Friday's Newsmax Daily, I just happened to mention that Newsmax has great documentaries on the weekends as I was promoting some of the weekend shows. Guilt by Association focuses on attorney Alan Dershowitz and his response to accusations made by one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims, who had previously accused Dershowitz as one of many men that she had been trafficked to. Then she later recanted the claim, saying she may have made a mistake. She may have erred in her judgment. At one point in time, Alan Dershowitz, as he has talked about before on Newsmax many a times, represented Epstein. He also wrote a book about it with the same title, Guilt by Accusation. I'm not sure when the documentary will be airing again, but it certainly will be airing again, and you definitely want to see it. Maybe you missed the documentary on Newsmax because you were watching NASCAR. Christopher Bell and the 20 car won the $1 million prize at NASCAR's All-Star race in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. I will actually be in North Carolina later this week. I'll be recording the Newsmax Daily from there. But after a great weekend of sports, this week will feature the Dallas Stars and Edmonton Oilers in the NHL Western Conference Finals, a repeat of last year. Last year, the Edmonton Oilers won it. They went on to lose the Stanley Cup to the Florida Panthers. The defending Stanley Cup champion Panthers and Carolina are playing in the Eastern Conference Finals. In the NBA, the New York Knickerbockers face Indiana in the Eastern Conference Finals. And it's Oklahoma City and Minnesota in the West. On Wall Street, stocks started the new week in the red as Moody's downgraded the United States debt this morning. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies also in the red at the time of recording. Bitcoin was down right around $1,900 to $102,300 and change. So be sure to keep up with all of the news throughout this busy Monday and breaking news as well on Newsmax, N2, and at Newsmax.com. Also, make sure you have the Newsmax app on your phone so you can stay informed anywhere, anytime, up to date. It all starts each and every morning with Wake Up America. I'm Tony Marino. Thank you for listening. Continue to share the podcast with your friends, family, and anybody else. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. If you're in the Midwest dealing with that severe weather, be safe and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.